to you, my question to you is, what are you afraid of? And I know people talk about fear of failure, they talk about fear of success, and that's a blanketed statement. Because if I say I have fear of failure, then I'm really not looking at the underlying issue of why that is. I'm just accepting that that is what it is. I'm challenging you to go deeper. I'm challenging you to go deeper because the fear of success, the fear of failure, those are the technical terms that we hear in the industry. Those are the terms that people are throwing out. They're the ones that catch you because they're the ones that you hear the most. But for you, your fear of failure and someone else's fear of failure can be two completely different things. So, what are you afraid of? Right now, we're in a space where anxiety is heightened. We're in a space where people are fearful just to go outside to the store. But when it comes to your family, when it comes to your business, what are you afraid of? And when you write this down, I want you to look at it because there are some things that you're afraid of that are just pictures in your mind. They're not things that have actually harmed you. They're not things that are even, in your peripheral. They're not things that you could even, see happening per se, but because someone else has said it, you've kind of adopted it. Fear of failure, losing your home. That makes sense. Fear of failure and what people will say. Is that really fear of failure? Or are you more scared of what people will say about you? Is that the need or the desire to live up to their expectations? And then when you get a little deeper, then where is that need and desire coming from? When we think about Denzel, Denzel has he got a list of successes that he's had in acting, but he's also had failures. He's had storylines where people have said, you know, he did a horrible job. He talked about, his first audition and what that felt like. Do not allow the fear that you have to stop you from your first audition. Do not allow the fear that you have to stop you from thinking and dreaming bigger. Do not allow the fear that you have to kill your dream. He wanted to act professionally, yes. Did he ever think that he would get to the point that he's at? He may have had some moments where, he envisioned it, he, put it on a board, he wrote it in a SMART goal, but we don't know until we do. And literally, fear puts a chokehold on a lot of us, and that's where that procrastination starts to come in. Because we think it has to be perfect, we think it has to look a certain way, it has to sound a certain way, and I've done that. And I had to go back and say, okay, what are you really being fearful of? What's really holding you back? And in doing so, this week, I said, you know what? I went and got, I had a transcriber, transcribe the men series that's going on this month on the podcast. I'm going to have him transcribe the Speak Easy series that I had earlier. That's 2 books. And then I have like one more thing that I'm going to have him transcribe for another book. What was holding me back? Literally thinking about what somebody else may say. And it's crazy because right now is the time for us to be thinking about our Q3 goals. And because we're about to wrap up Q2, and everything that's been going on, it's Q2 may not look like the way you thought it was going to look. It may not feel the way you thought it was going to feel. But there are still some things and ways that you moved forward in this quarter, and I need you to acknowledge those things and not to let them hinder you. Write out what you accomplished this quarter, who you were able to talk to, did you get new clients, what you were able to do, where you were able to go, if you were able to go anywhere, and then look forward to what you want to do for quarter 3. So for me, I have a really big goal for quarter 3. I had to get past some of those fears and that anxiety because my goal for quarter 3 is to monetize the podcast. Well, there's several ways I can do it. The books are one of those ways. The merch is one of those ways. And so for a long time, I have been dragging my feet with doing this website, this website overhaul. And so we're in the process of redoing the blog website. And we just got the website. The address to it, okay, is I am unmuted. So www.iamunmuted.com, and that's where you can see the blog, and then there's some other things on there that were already on there. But I'm excited because I had to upgrade the blog. I have to get somebody to redo it. But man, for the longest time, so many things were in my head that was causing me to be fearful to really step into this thing 100%. There are still people that say you can't get paid as a podcaster. There are still people that say podcasting is just you running your mouth. There's still people that say podcasting is not a business, and it is. And so when I said, what am I afraid of? It wasn't that I was afraid of a failure. It was that I was afraid that the people that told me that this is not a business was right. And then having to look in their face and say it didn't work. But see, what happens is when we get to that point, we also block out any opportunity for success. We block it out because we allowing their voice to be the one that's on play in our head. We're letting their voice be the one that's playing throughout our heads. And guess what? God didn't send that. God said go. We got to think about it. If when David got that inkling to fight Goliath, if he would have said, but God, if I I know I'm feeling like I should fight him, like I should be bold right now, but what if he knocked me out? What if he step on me? What they gonna call me stuff? What if he hit me in the head with something? What if he even when we think about Joseph, and I think this story, when we think about the story of Joseph and everything that he went through from the pit to the palace, We talk about the pit to the palace, but we forget that there was a point before the pit where he still had to take bold action. He was thrown in the pit because of the bold action he took. He was thrown in the pit because of him sharing his dreams. He was thrown in the pit because of it. So before he could get to the pit, for him to go through his pit to the palace, he had to say within himself, there's something significant within my dream, and I'm going to allow it to be heard. I hope y'all caught that. Because some of you won't even say your dream out loud because of that fear. Some of you won't even say you want to be, I mean, even if it is that you want to be a billionaire, you want to be a millionaire. Okay, say it out loud. Claim it. Own it. You want to be the author. You want to publish 100 books? Publish 100 books. You want to publish 50 books? Publish 50 books. But say it out loud. And even if you go into the pit, know that God is there with you and he will not allow you to stay in the pit. This is not the moment to play it safe. This is not the moment to sit back and not think that we can't do something that's really bold. And interestingly enough, that bold thing, that bold act, it may not even be me. Like for you, it's bold, but for someone else, it may not even be bold, but it may be something that they need. If we look at the story of Joseph being sold into slavery, being lied on, being thrown in jail, being betrayed by some of the people that was closest to him. There were moments where, you know, he didn't see anything positive, but he couldn't let their voices be the one that was the loudest in his head. Couldn't let their voices be the loudest in his head. One of the things that Denzel says at the beginning of this speech is put God first. That gotta be the foundation. Because if it's not your foundation, those voices will win. If it's not the foundation, then you'll always try to be living up to. I wasn't even going to share this part. You'll always be trying to live up to be daddy's little girl. You'll always try to live up to being, having your mother accept who you are. You'll always be trying to live up to having people look at you in a certain light. You'll always be trying to live up to something that you never had to live up to. So I was trying to bypass this, but I guess I have to share it. So this week, I was getting the episodes transcribed, and I got feedback from the transcriber about how him transcribing the episodes really made him feel, and it's crazy because I loved the feedback. And one day this week, I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I couldn't couldn't get back to sleep. Normally, when I'm up that early, it's for a couple reasons. It's because it's something for me to pray for, right? Exactly. Praying hours is something I need to pray about or something I need to write. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I penned a letter, but it turned into a poem. It turned into a poem. And man, I was like, this is what we're doing at 3 a.m. We couldn't have waited till like 10 a.m., 1 p.m. I was a little more awake. But when I reread it, it's crazy. Each little section starts with a letter, and it's IWWAL. I'm like, okay, so, all right, starts with some strange letters. In war, we all lose. And I started to cry because I said, it's the truth. When we're in war, everybody loses something. Everybody loses something. And when we think about what everybody is going through right now in business, in life, relationships, when we choose to try to handle the battle on our own, we lose so much in the process because it wasn't meant for us to fight every single battle. And the battles that it was meant for us to fight, it's because there was something we needed to lose. It's because there was something we needed to lose. But in every war, we lose something. And throughout that whole process, I said, okay, well, what was it that I needed in that moment? Why did I need to write that letter? And I went back and I reread it again. And one of the things that popped into my mind was that the expectation we have for God, is it truly an expectation? Or do we come to Him not really thinking that He can handle it? Like, we try to carry some things that we don't need to carry. We try to fight some battles that we don't need to fight because we are fearful that He won't handle it. And so when I looked at it, one of the parts that I wrote in there was like, I kept going back to thinking about the little kid and Santa Claus and, learning that Santa Claus wasn't real. And there's a part where I say, this time instead of milk and cookies, I had wedding cake waiting for you. And I go back because I had reconnected with my father at that time, and he was supposed to be showing up at my wedding, and he didn't show up. And I said, on that day, I made 2 vows. I said, but only one of them was strong enough to get past my past. When we can't fully and boldly commit to what we're doing, we have to go back and say, what's that fear? What are we afraid of? But we also have to go back and say, why am I not being fully reliant in God in this time? What's holding me back from really saying, God, you got this?
Especially when he gave you the assignment, right?
Come on. Come on. What's holding us back from really saying, God, you got this? And I literally looked and I said, that was it. And I needed to write that letter because I needed to let that go because God is taking me to a different place. And I need to be completely reliant on him. And I can't keep thinking that he's not going to show up. I can't keep thinking that he's not going to be there. I can't keep thinking that, oh, and this one, I hope it hurts in a good way. I can't keep thinking that when I talk to him, that he's not going to talk back, that I'm not going to hear from him again. That conversation I had with my father, where he was supposed to be at my wedding, was the last conversation I had with him. So I left that relationship with disappointment. And I took that into a marriage. It was a seed that was sown. And then when I felt that same level of disappointment from my husband, I walked away. At the time, I didn't realize that's what it was. And that's why I said that day I made 2 vows. My vows was to my husband, who I was getting married to, but my other vow was that I would never feel that way again. And when I did, well, it's crazy, right? But that's how we are in our business. That's how we are in our relationships. That's how we are in life. That's how we are with our children. Is there something, and we're saying we made a vow to never feel that way again. We made a vow never to go through that again. And we made the vow for us to never do it again or deal with it again, but we never gave it to God. We never put it in his hands. We carried it and tried to take it on ourselves. So I need you to think about, what are you afraid of? What has held you back? And I need you to boldly throw it up in the air, hand that over, give it to God, put it at his feet. Whatever you need to do, whatever little saying you need to do, that's the one you take on. Put it at his feet, put it at the throne room, whatever, sit it by his door. Whatever you need to do in your mind to give it to God, give it to him. Stop carrying it. Stop carrying it. Give it to him. And I mean, give it to him, not, and you still got the string where if you need to pull it back, you're going to pull it. No, give it to him 100%. And so me writing that out, man, that was it. I was giving it to him. I was. And it was crazy because I looked at him that way. I looked at my stepfather that way. I looked at God that way. I looked at other people that way. Because when you get me to that point and I shut down, that's it. I can walk away and be okay. But that's where that came from. And I was just like, wow, okay. So that was my one heck of an aha this week. Um, Man, it threw me for a loop though. It definitely threw me. Um, but I'm gonna pause the recording.